Hello Natroners, and welcome back to another episode of VFX with Natron. So, excuse me, there's a lot of dust in there. So today things might look a little bit different. It looks the same, but a little bit different. I had to change up things a bit. In fact, what we see around me doesn't actually exist. In fact, I'm having a little bit of trouble because I'm not actually sitting where I need to sit relative to what's in the background, due to the fact of how this is all being done. Anyway, this doesn't exist anymore, not for today, even though I'm in the spot that this was. It does not exist anymore. So, right, today's goal was going to be to make some lightsabers, but the lightsabers kind of failed. It's not that the lightsabers failed. Let me rephrase that. It's not that the lightsabers failed. It turns out that there was I had a problem. I'm going to leave it at that. It's not Natron specific, but it was a problem with something much further down the line that really caused some issues, and I had forgotten about it, about a thing. Anyway, but we are going to explore it today, and today is also going to be an open chat again, and I am going to be focusing on the chat just to see if anybody shows up and whatnot. But at this point, nobody's here. It was a last minute. Things sort of have become out of hand. So yes, today is my last day doing this for here. Next week there will not be a video episode. I'll probably put up some animation or something as filler for YouTube. But I won't be around, and there won't be I guarantee my new place will not be set up right for a little while, until this is until I get a chance to settle in. So anyway, enough of the jibber jabber. Let's pop over into Natron and look. So I brought up, this is the lens corrected version of the sequence that we had looked at last time, and I wanted to go over this a bit because we're dealing with I've lens corrected it, but I have there's some issues here that I thought were worthy of noting. I've already retimed this so that it fits within the time frame. But what we need to do is we need to actually set up a lightsaber, and we need to get it to work. Now, one of the classic ways that people usually tell people to do this type of thing is they would set up a roto, and you would set up a roto of a couple points or 4 points or however many points, and you would animate the roto, and that's perfectly fine. That's one way of doing it, but it's a lot of manual work, and I'm of the opinion there may be a better way of doing it. But we first need to, let's first make a keyframe. We need to first determine where we want to use as our reference point, and this actually is a pretty good frame. Probably we have the blade is thin at this point, but let's see, maybe I can find a better point where we can. Definitely don't want it while it's pulling out. We want to get it while it's actually a blade. So we'll go with right here. This looks, just make sure. I want to get it while it's stationary because it's easier to track. All right. So to track, I gave away a big factor of this. What we're going to actually do is we're going to track this. But the problem we run into is tracking. We don't have any great reference points. This sword is not actually ideal. Ideal would be that we have something that's black and white. You know, a lot of people for lightsabers will nowadays use PVC, PVC pipes as the actual lightsaber blade, and then they put a piece of black tape around the bottom base of it and a piece of black tape around the top of it. Now, I didn't want to put black tape on my sword, and I did not want to put put anything on my sword because it's a sword I use for other things. So the question becomes, this creates a bit of a problem because it's not going to be as easy. And I intentionally wanted to do something that was a little more difficult because it forces us to go into how can we track things. I mean, we kind of did some stuff like this in the past. We've done tracking, and we've done we actually did green screens, and we're going to use a bit of what we've did with the green screen with erode and or isolating like things. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually look for right now. All right, let's first of all see what the problem is. If we plop a tracker node in here, and we have too many properties for the moment, let's reduce this down to 1. And oh, that's not a tracker, that's a transform. Right, tracker, TRACK, track. There we go. So here's a tracker. Now, we've already been over this before. I'm going to make the new track here. I'm going to just click on the plus here. Just remember, if you do it this way, this allows us to position it when we place it down. We position it where we want the tracker to start. And I'm actually going to put it right here on the edge of the blade because see how this is a nice little highlight on the blade? This corner right here is going to be probably our best bet tracking this at a later point. And we're also going to want to increase the size of our search box just a bit. Might be too much. We can always shrink it down if we run into some issues. We're gonna run into motion blur issues anyway. So here it is. What happens if we've got it here. The first thing we want to do is we're still in tracker mode. You'll see that I could place another tracker on the end. In fact, let's do that. Let's pop a tracker there too. Just so we have our 2 trackers. But we need to, in order to stop adding new trackers, we need to click on this again, and that disables it, and you can see our mouse has returned from that green box that looks like the center of a tracker to a actual mouse pointer. So it doesn't actually highlight that. I really wish in the interface that they made it so that this sort of changed color or did something to indicate that we're in tracker mode other than having the green thing, because it's kind of hard to identify it if you're not looking right up here, or if you're not really looking at the mouse cursor too closely. You can miss it. Anyway, let's go over here to track 1. So our first frame is going to be 816, and you'll notice that our tracks are green. Our initial track is green, and that's because it creates a keyframe by default. Now, I intentionally made it away from 1 because I want to have a spot that's easy. So 816, we need to remember that our first frame is 816. Probably would have been better to do it on 815, but whatever. So now we could go backwards in time, but we're going to start dealing with putting the lightsaber into, well, it's not a lightsaber, it's going to be a flaming sword into the scabbard. And but I don't want to really, I want to just go through and just see if we can just do some regular tracking. I'm holding it relatively steady, so let's see if we can track this. And oops, I just hit frame forward. Let's just see if it tracks and how well it tracks. It's actually tracking quite well. This is good. Oh, it just lost it right there. It twisted like crazy right there. All right, so what happened? Oh, that's where all right, so did it actually track is the big question. So it's actually right here. It's no longer on the blade. We can see here's where it should have been, and it's off by a bit. Now, that's going to happen on occasion. That's why it's good to... this is way easier than what would be required for... if we were to do this with a... with regular roto, with a roto node and just roto the whole thing, you're going to be pulling full points around for quite some time. Whereas what we're going to do is we're going to just track 2 points, so that we just track the tips of the blade and just have to adjust those 2 points, and then we'll do a we'll fit the rest of the animation to it, or what we want. So right here, this is not where I want it to be. This should be over here. So what I always like to do is, when I move a track point, we can see that it tells us where our track point is. It's saying this is where we are in time. We're going to just line it up with where it should be. But the problem is that now everything before it doesn't line up. So what I do is in this situation, I just sit and I go use the back arrow on this, and I track backwards manually a few times. And now it looks like we have... That's interesting. It looks like we have... this may be one of the... Okay, there. It seems to have worked. All right, never mind. Okay, let's go forward again. We can see that here it lost track of its position. So we need to pull that over. And we're going to go backwards again. All right, there we go. It's following. And we're just going to... we're not going to back it up all the way. What we want to do is get to a point where this blends. We can see that it's drifting off of this point because it's not a perfect track, but this is a lot quicker. Aha, there we go. So in this frame here, it just jumped. So so we go forward a frame. If we go forward a frame, whoa, didn't mean to do that. Go way back here. Way back here. Let's zoom in. So we're here. We went back to about here. Let's find that. Oh, come on. Why are we not? Come on. Where are we? This is not updating. Okay, let's force refresh. Oh. That wasn't... What the heck? Oh, I was in the wrong spot. All right, there we go. All right, we want to be back here. There we go. All right, that makes sense. So we can see that the track jumped here. Let's go back. Let's go forward a frame. This is where it sort of fell out of position. So it's trying to correct itself. So I'm going to go right here. I'm going to just pull this back here a little bit. And then I am going to track it forward 1 frame, 2 frames, 3. We'll just go back through. I want to see, what we're trying to do is smooth this out. Okay, did you see right there? This point right here is a transition point. So we can pull this over, and whoop, I clicked off of the track. I just want to click on this. Has anybody joined us? Nobody has joined us at this point, and I am missing... Oh, right. We got to move forward. So right there, what I've done is I've tracked it. You know what? I think we can actually pull that one over and then this one over. And I think we wind up with a smoother looking track. Now, is it perfect? It's sub-pixel. We're moving these things sub-pixel. As long as we're within the pixel, I don't think that having small variances is enough to worry about. But here we need to fix it. So we need to go back to that point. So let's pop back to, I think it was here. Yep. And we want to go backwards. Let's see if we track this backwards 1 point. There we go. It's fixing itself again. And we can see, okay, there it jumped. All right, so we're going to go forward. We're going to go forward. We're going to grab this and we're going to just pull it around. Let's just look at that. That's where it was. Okay, so it shouldn't have moved at all. It should be there. So we go backwards. It's not moving. This is basically stationary. So there we go. Now it's moving backwards. And it stopped and it's stationary. I don't know why Natron's losing track of this stuff if it stops for a moment. That's very weird. Wait a minute. What the heck? Hold on. One moment. That's where we were. What the heck? Okay, we're off. This is definitely off. All right. This is going to require a bit more hand animating because I went and modified the keyframes. This is very strange. I would have thought that this... I was off in where I was tracking. Let me just see something here. I want to just scrub through this. Interesting. Okay. You know what? We're going to modify it. I think we're going to... we're going to bring that back. All right. So here... I'm going to go back one. Bring that down. Here. We're going to bring these back. I'm going to actually go do this using the keyboard shortcut to move through the frames. That's good enough. There we go. All right. I actually think this one's just a smidge off. There we go. Make that nice and smooth. Let's pull that down just a smidge. There we go. All right. So yes, I did a little bit of point pulling there to get that back on track. But you can see this is a pain. This is a pain. It's tricky. It's not tracking very well. And part of the reason that it's not tracking as well as it could is because this is not very contrasty. And I probably should have stopped that a while back because really I wanted to point out that we've made this track and it's terrible. We're not having a good luck here. We're gonna see here. I mean, this is still faster than animating 4 points for the entire time. We can track it and then pull it around. And I'll show you what we're gonna do as far as the lightsaber in a little bit. But the big question is how can we make this work better? And well, the better way to deal with this is to start looking at using our channels in more creative ways. All right, let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to back here. I mean, we've got a lot of keyframes in here, and that's just a lot of stuff that if we do make a mistake and decide we need to modify it, like we were just doing, we have to trash it all. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just remove all the keyframes. I'm going to put a new key right there, and start this all over. And that's weird. It did not get rid of our actual animation. All right, let's well, that's an unfortunate thing. I did not expect to have to deal with. We're gonna just delete that track. We're gonna delete it. Let's get rid of it, and we'll just start a brand new track and put it right there. All right. Let's make sure we get that right where we want it. I want it on, we'll do it a little closer to that white area. All right, so how can we before we do this, how can we get our background to look better so that this is more contrasty? Well, we could try increasing the contrast with something like a grade node. That's possible. We could take our black point and push our black point, you know, up, maybe. Oops. Or down. Whoa. All right. Reset. There we go. Bring that down. We can play with it. We could pull up the, basically increase the contrast like this. And that works to a degree, but we can see that it's woo, we get down and, you know, when we tweak it, we can get it kind of nice. It's okay. But, you know, it's still this, like, there's nothing like a solid pattern that's black and white that we can follow. So let's reset that, and let's just reset this whole thing. So this raises a question: is there a better way of doing this? Well, we've dealt with swapping channels before, looking at the channels for when we were looking at green screening and doing a road smooth and whatnot. We what we did is we looked at what we had and tried to find a channel that gave us the best comparison. Ooh, all right, let's take a look. If we look at our red channel, for example, we can see that the blade and the hilt of the sword both are very, very similar in color. So red is a bad channel, or is not good for tracking. If we go to the green, that's looking better. There's the green, we can see that the hilt is a lot darker on the green channel. Let's go to the blue channel. The blue channel, it's even better. Blue channel, we have something that's a lot whiter in here, and it's much, much darker in this point here. So this channel here is probably a potentially our best channel for using as a track at this point. So if we were to put in a shuffle node here, all right, and I set the shuffle node so that it just uses the blue channel, all right, the B blue channel, and we connect that up, and then we just look at this, and instead of looking at the blue channel, we just look at it regularly. Now we have the blue channel. So what happens if we start grading something like that? Well, that's another possibility. We might wind up with something that's better. All right, let's take up our black point. Oh, look at that. We wind up with something instantly that starts looking a lot better in a lot of ways. Let's try and pull this up slightly. Look at that right there. We have a channel that has given us a nice end of our point. We have that bright white point, and it's showing up in the blue channel as we can get something that gives us a nice sharp edge that we can use to identify with. So that right there is probably going to be a lot easier to track. So the part of what you want to do with when you want to track something that is in a situation like this is look at the colors that the things are made up of and look at the channels. Now I'm also going to give you another tip. There's another way we can do this besides using just RGB, which is we can look at other color modes that might show this type of information better. What do I mean by other color modes? Well, if we go into our color options here, down here under color transform, we have all these forms of transforming or of turning what we have, which is RGB, into another color space, another type of color space, but color spaces that aren't RGB, color spaces that, for example, are chromatic. So like LAB. If we take RGB Rec 709 to LAB and we put that in there, it didn't hook up for whatever reason, and we go in and look at this, it makes the whole image look weird. And the reason is that what it's done is it's taken our RGB and it has converted it into this other color space, which does not, when we're looking at it as RGB, doesn't look quite right. It looks really weird. But we also see some really interesting stuff here. We'll notice that this blade looks really orange here, so it matches the background here, and it really stands out. So what channels are those? What channels are those happening on? What's going on with our channels here? So what we have is the L channel, which is luminance, and then we have A chrominance and B chrominance. So first, let's look at, so red is going to be L, because it's the first, LAB, RGB. They're the same order, so it's, you know, they're all going to be the same thing. So R is going to be L in this case. So we hit L and we look, or hit R to look at the L, and we can see that this is the L channel. Well, this is just the luminance of it. This is the black and white information. This is what where most of when you're dealing with 422 color space, this will be the type of color that you would look at. Although LAB is not 422, or it's not where they do it. That's YBP, CBCR, excuse me, and YPBPR. Sorry. Boy, which Y is the luminance, which is the same as L here, and then you have your two chrominance channels, but they're done different ways. These are all three different ways. So the key thing here is if we go into the A channel now, excuse me, not A, or let's go into G to look at the A in LAB, the A chrominance, and the first thing we'll notice is that this is, when I recompress this. This is a 422 color space, actually the image that I pulled in the video. And so we are actually going to see some of the chromatic subsampling. We can actually see how it is broken into two colors going across. It's stretched. This is 422. Anyway, but we also see, and we can see the inaccuracy here. We get a nice big slice here. This doesn't show up when we see it visually because this is color information. But it's really interesting to look at this stuff. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on that. It's fun to look at chromatic color spaces. So we're looking at this, and the thing that we're seeing here is look at how bright this is and how dark this one spot is on the blade. Well, that could be really, really useful. We could take that same grade that we just did, put it over here, because we've already set it up to make it more contrasty, and we can see that we've made something that's a bit more contrasty here, and we can maybe play with this. What happens if we pull this up? Let's see. Pull that up more. Pull this down, actually. Maybe this is a better. Oh, look at that. There we go. I've inverted it, and now we have something that's really harsh, and the blade is very, very noticeable here. And if we compare that to this, that's even better. So this is even better might be better to track. So in fact, I would, as long as it stays this sharp and detailed the whole time, I would argue that this is a better way to track. And in fact, it looks like as long as my arm is behind it, this is a better form, something better to track with. But the question is, will it always stay there? And the answer is it's looking really good. So I'm of the opinion that this is probably what we want to use as our tracking. So let's see, we want it to be back at 816. We'll pop our tracker node over here. We're going to go back here. Now, when we pull up our tracker and we look at track number 1 here, one of the first things we're going to see is that it looks weird. Oh yes, this, right, we're not looking at this. We're looking at this, the output of this after the grade. But we're looking at only the green channel. So this is what happened when we graded this to make the green channel or the A channel stand out more. It made the actual whole image look a lot more blue. Well, we don't want the tracker node to track this color information because this isn't useful. What we want to do is we want to put another shuffle node in here. So we'll put a shuffle node So tab shuffle, then we want to set this so that we're looking at the green channel. So there we go. So we're only looking at the green channel. Now the tracker node has this beautiful point to work with. So let's go back here. Now, the first thing we're going to notice is that our first keyframe is still our color information because that's where we set it. And so it's not going to have the reference. So what we need to do is actually, we need to get rid of that keyframe. So we're back on we're on 16, which is where that keyframe happened. We click on remove the keyframe here, and then we click on add the keyframe right there. And now it's black and white. So now let's see if this tracks any better. Now that we've done it this way, let's see if we start tracking this forward in time, is this going to track better? Oops, sorry, I didn't hit play forward. I'm going to hit play and let's watch how it goes. All right, it got up to frame 833 and it looks like it lost track of the track. Now this happens. Let's see why. All right, you know, I'm just thinking about this. Yeah, we're good. I want to turn off track. Oh no, not track 1. I want to turn off track 2 for the moment. All right, so we're here. We're going forward. All right, we definitely lost track of the track at some point. So this right here looks like it didn't track properly right from the second point. I'm thinking I want to try and go back and just try and set this up so that it's tracking from a nice solid point. This is our reference point. I want to get it here. We're going to hit track forward again. See if it works. All right, let's see. It went a little bit further. I see an error back in here. I don't know why Natron's giving us issues today. This is, to me, this shouldn't be a problematic thing. Anyway, so we've given it some reference. Let's hit play. Let's go forward. And Natron's tracked it all the way down to this point, supposedly. Let's go back in time, take a look at what's going on here. Now remember, this is probably the highlight here. So this looks like it's doing some weird stuff here. All right, right there it's fine. Right here, I don't think that's right, but we'll say it is just for the moment. I think we want to pull that back there. And now let's try tracking forward in time. Oh, so here it rotated a bit. So it's going back up there. We can see, so here it was like that. And here it looks like it's gone back that way. So we want to make sure, in fact, I want to make sure that it's right smack in the middle of that one white pixel. That's fine. Let's hit play. It seems to have lost track of it. You know what? I don't think our search area is big enough. Let's go back in time to here. Now, okay. We're having an error here where it looks like, okay, we have another reflection here on the edge that's throwing this whole thing off, which is good. We're going to have to manually track through this. So do we have anybody in? No, nobody in comments. Oh, this was announced very late. So I also want to make sure I'm not running too long. We're 34 minutes in. We're going to just do this for a little bit longer. I don't want to, people can follow this on their own. I mean, there's no perfect tracking. There is going to have to be, people are going to have to do some manual tracking at some point. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right, let's stop this because it has gone It's clearly gone off track. It's not following it correctly. So let's go figure out where it lost track of it. It lost track right in here. Right here, it lost track. This should be down here. Let me make sure of that. No, wait a minute. It lost track way, way before this point. Where did it lose track? Okay. All right. It's correct there. That's where it lost track. It's correct. And here, why is it not up here? That's weird. We're going to keep tracking forward. There we go. And now it's done some funky things. Let's scrub through it. Oh, we've done enough of the tracking. You would basically follow, or at least tracking of the first point. What you would do is you would, we have a Natron. All right, Natron has crashed on us. So what we're going to do is save this. It hasn't crashed, but what we've done is, what's happened is it's stopped. It stopped actually rendering the output, or it's stopped rendering the redraw. You know, I'm debating, this has happened to me. This was part of the reason that I didn't finish this up. This is a new issue that seems to be happening with tracking, or at least for me. It seems like it gets to a point where it just can't redraw the nodes anymore. So I'm going to just save this project as, and this, by the way, this may be related to an old bug regarding, this is a Cinema DNG sequence, and Cinema DNG sequences have always given a bit of lip. So we're going to just call this, let's see, this was supposed to be, we'll just call it Lightsaber. Live. And I'll put that in the right spot when later. But anyway, this, if you deal with something like a ProRes, actually, wait a minute. No, this is ProRes. This is not. I think this is ProRes. No, this is DNxHR. That may be why I'm having issues. I don't know. All I'm knowing is that I've been running into these issues where it gets so far and then it's locking up like this. And it used to do this. I thought this was an exclusive problem with Cinema DNG. Then it solved itself. And it actually wasn't haunting us the other day when we were scrubbing through. But now this is happening with I think this is, I'll double check whether this is DNxHR. Anyway, this is definitely what it is it's locking up. It's only rendering out so many frames and then it locks up. And it refuses to redraw. So we're going to have to actually reload. I think there used to be a solution where you could reload the project and it would solve the problem for Cinema DNGs for a short period of time. Let's see if this works for this. As long as Natron responds, it's saying it's not responding up here, but we're going to give it a minute. If it doesn't, I'll just force quit it and reload. I think we've locked up. All right, we're gonna close it. Yep. All right, let's start Natron again. Hopefully it will recover the last project. Oh, the problems with things like this. But to explain, this was part of the problem I was running into, is I was running into this point where it kept locking up as it was doing the track. And it did not do this in the past. I can tell you right now, it has not done this in the past. But this is, I do believe, the first time I've ever tried doing it with this particular file format. So this could be tied to the file format, in which case I would tell people, make sure you, when you're setting it up, just happened, it's easier inside of Resolve under Windows to export as a DNxHD or DNxHR over a ProRes file. But I'm seeing that this may be the problem. This may be causing the problem, and right. Hold on. Let's do that. Okay, it didn't reset its position. There we go. All right. So there we go. I've paused it. I'm hoping that by pausing the renderer, that it will only render the track that we have, as we can see. Now, I'm going to unpause the render so we have our current frame. Then I'm going to pause the render for the moment because I want to see where we are. Okay, it looks like we have lost track, or Natron lost track of the point again, just ever so slightly. So we're going to go back in time. Let's go back about here. Let's see where that is. Why am I not seeing? We are not. Oh, you know what? It helps if I undo that. I think we lose it right in this area. Natron, for some reason right now, does not seem to like shifting directions. Yep, right there. So now it's on, or it's slightly off actually, because there, it's on right there. Then here, this should be further forward. This should probably be right about there. I want it to be tracking into the white area. So let's see. Let's go forward a frame. Let's play it forward, and hopefully it got lost right here. All right. So we're going to back it up till we get to the point where it loses. Ugh. All right. I had said in the last one, before we ended, that I was going to not track this much further. And I think we're going to just stop it right here. All right. And go and just move on to the next piece, which is we need to track the second tracker. So we got to go back to the, we need to go back to the beginning, which was back on frame way back here. Where are we? Back here on frame 816. So this was our initial frame. Now we can see here that for this track, this isn't going to work. And here's the thing. We don't have to worry about the other tracker, or where the tracker is right now. All those keyframes have already been done. That tracker, track 1 has been set as far as up to this point. So we can actually change our background so it's more optimized for the second tracker for this next bit. So what we should do at this point is take a look and see if we can figure out where, let's see if we can find something that works better for the tip. All right, let's first look at our channels. Let's go back to RGB. Let's look at our GB. G looks the better to be one of the better points because the tip, as long as the tip is not over the arm, it looks better. And most of the time it's not going to be. If we go over to to the LAB color, and we look through the luminance and chrominance channels, if we go, whoa, that was not what I wanted to have happen. Let us go back to 16. Let's try that again. Go to R. So this is luminance. Not overly good, although I gotta say this is a lot more readable there. G looks pretty good, and B definitely looks bad for the tip of the blade because it just blends into the background. But I think actually here the luminance might be our best bet. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna just add another grade node. So we're gonna do grade. No, it crashed. So, oh well, actually it didn't matter. Well, grade to the LAB, and we're gonna just increase. Let's increase our black point here just a little bit. Try and increase the contrast. What I want to try and do is get this so that it's bright enough so that it stays sort of separate from the arm and also maybe separate from the background. If we can get it so that there's a mid-gray, that might actually work really nicely as well. Okay, 6 is too, pushing it past that point is causing us to lose that. So I'm going to keep it at 0.6. We're going to just try this. All right, so let's take our tracker node. We need to shuffle, so we want to bring it over, and we're going to hook up B. We're going to we'll reset this here and set this so that it's all R's, because we're looking at the luminance channel, which is the R. L is R. First input. So there we go. So if we go here, we hit now go, go off. We're looking at it. Now we go over here. All right. So with the tracker set to here, we select track 2. And we're going to take track 2 now. Track 2 is above track 1 because we had done the track 1 the wrong way, and then we reset it. So let's take track 2. We need to, first of all, make sure we set the keyframe here on 816. For this, it is looking weird to me. Let's kill it first and then create it for track 2. Yes, good. Yes, track 2. Just want to make sure of things. Right, so track 2, this is what we want for our input source. We'll try and actually center it on there. I want to center it more on this point. And it's going to probably need, yeah. We're gonna frame forward. It's going to track. We're going to go here. We're going to frame. This is going to take a bit. There we go. Looks good. Oh, and we lose ourselves right there. So now the channel has, or the sword seems to have disappeared into the body. I think that might be it right there. Oh no, that is it. So it's right there at the moment. Sorry. And then we're going to, let's hit play, see if we can go forward. All right, let's pause this, because it's looking like it got really wonky random back here. So we need to go through this. Uh-oh, we've got the redraw bug again. I think it's because I scrub. I think that's what it was. I think it's because I'm scrubbing with a tracker. it's having problems scrubbing with the tracker. I think that we can, I think it's still functioning. Yes, we're functioning, but we're only functioning over here, which makes it impossible to actually. So this is definitely a new bug as far as I can tell. We can see that it's updating over here, but our actual refresh, our viewer node is not actually refreshing. This could be a racing issue as far as I know. Not good. We're going to save it again, save the project. We're going to have to close it and reopen it, which is going to make this really, really difficult to deal with. So let me just think. I don't want to do this too many times, restart it too many times, especially as far into this as we are. Let us, when I relaunch this, we're going to just put in we'll put in the actual lightsaber beam and just talk about how one would go about it and how one would track it. Now, admittedly, you need to finish all your tracking ahead of time, and this is annoying. I gotta say, this is almost so annoying that I almost would recommend people doing it the old way with the pulling the individual roto points, because it's a lot less frustrating. Although this is going to take ultimately less time to do than it would if we were pulling around 4 points, because you have to pull around those 4 points for almost every frame. You have to pull it around until for every point there is to keep it aligned, and you're basically manually tracking it. Whereas what we're going to do is we're going to automate the tracking once we've got it, and we're only dealing with 2 points. It's annoying that these 2 points are going on. I will also point out, if people want, there is actually another option. If you can get your hands on Ignite, Ignite actually has a built-in lightsaber. I haven't used it in a long time, but you can do it. This is a commercial plugin. There is a old free version, and it used to work well with Natron, and I think that lightsabers may have been one of the freebies that did work, but I'm not positive. Anyway, it's worth noting that they have that might be a lightsaber option for some people. We're not going to go through it. We're going to try and keep it with the native nodes, because Ignite only works on Mac OS X and on Windows. It does not work under Linux. So if you're a Linux user, you will not be able to actually use that. So anyway, this has not quit for some reason. I told it I wanted to quit, and it did not. At least I thought I told it to quit. Anyway. There are a few things. I will also tell some people another annoying thing I found regarding the tracker node recently is if your track count or your node count gets up. I don't know if this is related, but I think it might be. If you have too many keyframes that you're tracking for any given shot, it seems for a given node. It seems to get at a certain point, it starts getting exponentially long to process. And I don't know why. If that happens, what I would recommend is breaking up your track for tracking something like this into multiple pieces and multiple segments, and just deal with it in bite-sized chunks, so to speak. You'll still get the same result in the end. It's a little annoying, but it will save you the trouble of, it in theory would save somebody the trouble of, anyway, let's open the recent. All right. So we have 2 tracks. We want to now take this and we want to create our lightsaber. So we're going to go back to frame 816, where we had the initial image. We'll go back to our initial image, and we're going to just, this is some real serious, there's some stuff I would have done to this if I had had more time. Anyway, we're going to draw in a roto, so we're going to hit roto. Let's put a background into it. We're going to just take, and I recommend in this case use a rectangle tool. It's just easier to do the initial thing. And we'll just click on the rectangle tool, and we'll just drag out a rectangle. And you're going to say, well, that doesn't look like a proper lightsaber blade at this point, and it isn't. What we're doing is we're putting out the initial 4 points that we're going to probably use. So we're going to put this, now mind you, this is not actually, most lightsabers are, you know, not curved. This has a bit of a curve to the blade, so we're going to just kind of fudge it a little bit here, and we're gonna actually I think you can, I think if you hit, Shift Z, was it Z? Yes, if you hit Z on a node, you can turn it into a cusp, or change it to a point, so you get it rounded. I recommend keeping it, never ever ever bring this more than its 4 points, but we can bring these points in and out. And let's Z this and Z this so that we get that, and let's try and get this so that it actually looks a little more like what we would want. So it would probably be something like that. That's good enough for the most part. So there we go. We have our first shape. So is this going to be, the problem with this is also this is not, this is flat on from one direction, whereas most people use PVC when they do lightsabers. So this won't track, or this would be a lot more complicated thing. I would have to actually rotoscope, potentially roto this whole thing, will make it so the blade is more uniform. But what I'm hoping is that I'm going to get enough of a glow that we're not going to have to worry about it. We're going to be able to hide any bits that are not going to show inside the glow itself. So how are we going to do this? First of all, we could have used a roto draw, but we're going to just use a roto node. Roto draw would have automatically given us the RGB channels enabled, but we just enable your RGB channels, and here we go. We have a blade. All right, so this is the thing we're going to be tracking, but we want to make our lives easy. We want to try and keep this as simple as possible for right now, because I don't feel like animating the pulsing of the thing. We're going to just pretend it has a solid glow. You can animate the pulse on your own. You can do your gold glow pulsing and whatnot. It's not a problem. It's just going to take more time, and for the purposes of ours, what we're going to do is we're just going to give this a color. Like we'll make this a oh, I don't know, let's make it an orange. I don't think I've ever seen an orange lightsaber before. Orange tends to bleed into the yellowy realm, but we'll try and make an orange lightsaber. I don't know if I've ever seen. Anyway, right, so we need to add a glow. You could use FDX Glowy, which is a community plugin if you like that better. What we're going to do here is I want to have the glow. I'm going to pick the hue for it. I'm going to click on this eyedropper. I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm going to, oh yes, we're going to disable this for the moment so that we get the accurate hue. So we're going to click on that. So we get the orange. So now we're going to isolate that hue, and that's what we're going to hopefully work with. So I'm hoping that is going to be what we're going to use as our highlights. So that is the hue we want to use for our glow. And then what we're going to do is we want to increase our gain a bit. It is glowing everything but what I want. All right, so what we're going to do is take this isolate highlights up to the point that it is not. I want to isolate the hue. Let me preview this. Now, reset to default. Why is the isolate highlights not? Well, that's interesting. All right, so it's glowing other things too. Oh, boy. Well, we're going to wind up with a... All right, orange is not the best color for this. Let's make it something that contrasts from the skin, because I don't feel like dealing with this. So we're going to do... we'll make it nice and green, which should then... Let's undo this. Let's pick that color. All right, and then let's do this and look at this. What is going on here? Aha, there we go. We've got highlight. We've got a green. We've got green. That's all we need. So now that we've got this, we should be able to pull this off. So this is not, I thought that the problem with the lockup was actually the tracker node interacting with the all right, just going to give people a piece of advice. Do not right now use DNxHR or DNxHD in Natron. It looks like this is causing an old bug to show up. A bug that shouldn't exist. Well, I'll have to point this out to the devs. So we're going to save this project. There's two versions. Oh, foo. I gotta, hold on. We've got two Natrons running. Process tree. That could have been causing a problem as well. We're going to kill off two process trees. All right, try this again. Launch this. Let's get our glow. We want to glow. And if we don't get a glow out of the glow, we can use it to, we can always isolate it using a keyer node and then glow the key. It will be faster. That would actually probably be faster than using the glow node if we needed to. So still nobody has joined into the live stream. We're just over an hour in. I figure I'm going to go out on a bang, let this go. Might trim this down a little bit in for YouTube, so YouTubers won't have to deal with this. All right, so there's our lightsaber. It's not looking quite right because our glow is not adding in the right way. We may want to play with it, figure out what looks, if anything looks better. Let's see, glow only. Let's do a screen. I think screen may look better. Yeah, I think screen's going to look better for our actual glow. We have our gain way up. What we're going to do. So here's the thing. Lightsabers are never a solid color. They always have color to it. So the reason it's solid is because we don't have any blue on this. It doesn't go to white. So it's going to a green and a red. So what we're going to do is just take this and we're going to give it a little bit of, just going to give it a smidge of color on both red. Oh my goodness. Point. All right, so what I've done is I've given it just a little bit of color on each of the channels. I think we want it to be more of a limey color, so I'm going to take this up to 2 for the red. There we go. And then what we're going to do is take the gain, and we're going to just keep pumping this up. We're going to take it up as high as we need to get this where we want it to be. Now, it looks like around 50 we get something that actually looks like the center of a blade. This is looking too big. So we want to maybe bring down the iterations or the size. Let's just pull down the iterations first, just to see about it. We could maybe do that. This will make it render faster in theory. Let's try turning off that screen input so that we get a little more of a glow. There we go. I like that. We'll go with that. So there's our lightsaber effect, a lightsaber glow. Might even bring this down. Let's just try it one more. Yeah, we'll keep it at 4. All right. So now that we have that, what we would want to do is, of course, we want to cache that this glow. Actually, can we cache the glow? Can we cache the glow? What we want to do is we want to isolate it so we only have the glow. And what we're going to do is basically take this transform that we've done. We're going to put it over this. And we're going to change it so that now, instead of the, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the transforms. And on 816, which is our frame, we're going to say that we want to compute our transforms. We're going to do a motion type is going to do match move. All right? And we're going to compute the transformations, and this should hopefully track this as this lightsaber as if it were going on top, but of course it's not on top. So let's merge this over. For some reason Natron's not connecting up nodes, the output of nodes to things. All right, so we're going to take and again connect this to our original, our source, and we're going to connect the B input to the A, or to B input to the original. A is going to our tracker, which is connected to our glow, and we can see it. And then we'll watch what happens here. So we can see that what we end up with. And now I'm going to just do 816. I want to look at our tracks for a second. I want to go back to my tracks. I want to look at how long that track was. We only got it out to about 925. So I'm going to just, for the moment, we're going to just say this is going to be 816 to 925. And I think that should hopefully allow us to view we can see what will happen when we play this. It's over it right now. Now we're not pulsing it, but we could pulse that glow, we could animate that glow if we wanted to, just you know, change the intensity or something. But we can see that right now it is tracking to it. Now, what it does not have, and this should track fairly well. It's not okay. We obviously it did not track past this point. Okay. We didn't get all the way out to the end. We only got out that far. All right. So we ended. Sorry. Let's find our spot where we were. Let's see. All right. So we want to go to 850 here. So that's where we have. So if we loop this like section here and we hit play, we should now see it moving. Now, wait a minute. What's going on? Why? What the heck? How far out did this go? Oh. Right. 850. Is that still tracking? That's still tracking. It's right there. Oh no, it is not tracking. It lost it back there. All right, we're gonna say 842. That's all we need to really get the idea of what this works. Obviously, the track wasn't following the blade any further. So there we go. So this, if we watch this now and we play this, hopefully we should see this. We can see that it's tracking. I mean, this isn't the most exciting thing, but we can see that it follows. Now, one of the problems, of course, is that this does not have motion blur. One of the bonuses of using the tracker node to do it is when a lot of people know that, they say, oh, when you do the, if you were to do this tracking with a or by manually, what you would do is when the blade extends and lengthens, you would extend the blade manually using by pulling one of the points apart on the box. But what you can do here with this is we have real motion blur. So all you have to do is actually enable motion blur and set the shutter angle to match whatever the shutter angle is of your camera. And then, or if for whatever reason, if the camera that in question doesn't do the 180-degree correctly from the current frame to the next frame, then it actually does an interpolation from the previous frame to this frame, and then halfway through, what you can do is you can use use the time blur node to do it as well, I do believe. But that will get into, well, that could get nasty. But anyway, this, I don't want to continue this because this has gotten long, and we get the basic gist of it. So this is how you would basically do a lightsaber. Now, I apologize to everybody. I was beating my head against the wall trying to figure out why. I thought I'd figured out what the problem was, and by keeping it short and simple, it was going to solve the problem. But clearly, this is a problem. I'm 99% sure this has to do with the format, DNxHD or DNxHR. I don't remember which one of the two it was. In fact, we could probably figure this out, but that's for some other time. What the heck? Whoa, we also have other nodes here. Why did those come in? That was weird. That was very weird. Let's just save that because I don't want that to be, that could have caused the problem as well. Anyway, no it wouldn't, because those weren't drawing. Anyway, so that's the basic process. Again, track, pull your points around. Once you've tracked your points, you go back and take the roto, and you, again, to track each point as needed to isolate the bits of your lightsaber. It works best if you have, I highly recommend, if anybody's making lightsabers on their own, to do this for themselves. The best way to do a lightsaber is to take a piece of white PVC pipe and put on the white PVC pipe some black tape marks. One at the bowl, just above the handle. Don't have it overlapping the hand. Have it just above. Make sure that you have room for the actual lightsaber blade. In fact, I recommend giving them an actual cylinder or something to hold on to. Although you could, even use that if you have another that could give you an extra tracking point. Although this works best if you only have 2 tracking points. So stick with just the 2 on the blade. Keep one above, one at the end, and then follow the action. Now, when it blurs, it gets tricky to follow, and you're going to have to hand animate these 2 points at that point. But if you have to, and if you have a question, go in and you can actually look at your motion blur. The motion blur for the tracker node is going to be, and by the way, just so you know, it's under the transforms. You can see motion blur is right here. We can just enable it. All we have to do is put this up to it like 0.1, and that enables the motion blur. And then this would take a little bit longer to render, but it's not that much longer because all we're doing is this one simple image. It's just doing this one, it's tracking this this one simple thing and then transforming it around, and it's already been tracked. So it's, you could, in theory, after the glow, if you're not animating the glow, the vibrating, and there's other ways of making it shimmer and do all that other than modifying the glow. But if you don't do it with the glow itself, you could but if you animate that, the key thing is if you animate it, it might take, it's going to take a little bit longer, but I wouldn't worry too much. Anyway, we've gone on long enough. So yes, today's goal, today's last day's goal, and I promised I was going to do this, by the way, that we were going to go over lightsabers, even though we didn't go over the whole thing. Today's goal was to make a lightsaber. It was a follow-up for last week. I can't really show you the whole thing because I haven't gotten it rendered out. And it wasn't just this. There was a whole lot of other shots with this too, and having Natron lock up like this was a pain. So I couldn't do it in one day. Which meant I was unable to finish it for May the 4th. Well, by the time I got all the shots edited and everything. Anyway, so thanks for watching. Keep on Natroning.